Now I am going to go ahead and actually jump into the primary focus of today's webinar, which is the payrolls section we were actually just in. And again, today we're going to be covering the upload of time from SwipeClock, which is our third-party timekeeping software. So if you're a SwipeClock user, you are familiar with that. And then after that, we'll be going over the time entry section. So if you've been on previous webinars and you've already seen the time entry section, that is why we're covering the SwipeClock portion first. So you can go ahead and kind of tune out if you'd like after we cover that. Now, regardless of whether you're using SwipeClock to import time or if you're doing manual time entry, you do need to create a new timesheet here. So under the payrolls option, we're going to click the new payroll button here. And from here, you can choose the payroll type normal, interim, or no deductions except 401k and garnishments. We're typically going to be choosing the normal option. Interim is for if you're running any off-schedule payrolls, and then no deductions except 401k and garnishments is typically for bonuses or something like that. I'm actually going to choose interim for demo purposes today. But regardless of what you choose here, you're going to want to uncheck the bring in hourly auto pays hour button here. You're going to leave the salary auto pay and the recurring pay boxes checked. And then we're going to click start payroll here. Once I do that, of course, our timesheet will pop up. And I do want to cover the layout of the timesheet just a bit here. So you'll see, of course, we have all of these columns with different information. Of course, the employee name, our different categories here for pay. There's regular hours, OT hours, bonus. You'll notice there is a little $sign here. This indicates that it is not an hours amount, but an actual dollars amount in this column. There is PTO holiday, and then we go into the standard regular right here. There is an other pay option here, which actually has several pay codes that you can choose from. But we do have the option of adding up to 8 more codes into the columns here for you if they're codes that you use regularly. If they're not something you use regularly, or if you have more than 8, they would be down here in the other pay options. Next to other pay, of course, we have the other hours, which this is for any other pay codes that require an hour amount. And then there is the other amount section here, which is for any pay codes or other codes here, such as per diem or reimbursement, where it's a dollar amount. Up at the top, there are some filters for the timesheet here. This is where we can filter by different codes. So for example, we only wanted to view salary. We could select the salary option here, and it's only going to display the salary employees. And of course, there are several others that you can filter by as well. I'm going to go to the all other pay just so that we're displaying all here. There's a search option here. So if you start typing an employee's name, it will start filtering automatically based on the string of characters that you've typed. So you can see John Doe popped up here. If you had any more employees with JON in their name, they would pop up as well. Now over all of these buttons, there is a return option, which will just bring us right back to the beginning of the payroll menu. This is the submit button for when we're actually finished on the timesheet and you want to submit. Here under the options, there are a few. We have the ability to add an employee. The use case for this is going to be typically when you create a timesheet and you have a new hire that's not finalized before you create that timesheet, but they do need to be in it. You can add that employee here. Here is the upload time option, which this pertains primarily to our clients that are going to be tracking PTO hours with us and using our PTO request system. This allows us to import the hours, or excuse me, that is the import time taken here. This allows us to import the PTO hours. The upload time feature here, this is actually the SwipeClock option, which we'll be covering in just a second here. The reports here are, there are 2 currently available in the current state of the timesheet. And you're able to view these at any point when you're in the process of entering time or before you submit. So you can always get another view of all the information that is here as well. They're kind of similar reports. The submission report goes into a little more detail there. Next is the settings cog here, which allows you to add columns if you would like. So for example, if I wanted to see a department as a column, I can click save there, and it does show up as an option here. I'm going to go ahead and turn that back off for now. It's as simple as checking or unchecking the box and selecting save. And then last but not least for the buttons is the payroll notes section. And this is for any notes you want to leave your payroll specialist. If there's something different about this payroll than usual and you just want to give your payroll specialist a heads up, you can leave a note here and save. And whenever you submit, they'll see that note whenever they're processing payroll. Now, I do want to jump into the SwipeClock features here. So we'll go to options and then upload time here. And you'll see there is an option to import file. You do not have to worry about this. The main thing you're going to be looking at is the integration import here, because it is a fully integrated system. You have two options. You have the default payroll date, which is what you're almost always going to be on. You want to, of course, import based on the timesheets payroll dates. And then you'll see there is the view SwipeClock import, which is what I'm going to click on here. So once I click on that, it'll give you a preview of the data that will be coming over from the timekeeping software. So for this example, I've only added hours for one employee over in that system, so you can see how it comes over. And you'll see it gives you a breakdown here, including all of the employee's information, the pay type, as well as the amount of hours. Once you are viewing that SwipeClock import here, you'll see an option here on the import settings. You're always going to want to leave it on warn user, but do not add employee. And this would be something we don't want you to touch. If there's any special use cases, you can always reach out to us and we can adjust as necessary, but this is going to be the default. You should leave it on. Now, you'll see again, there are options to export to Excel, CSV, PDF, and that is, of course, the information we're previewing before we import the data to the timesheet. But I'm going to go ahead and click the green import button. And once you do so, you'll receive a message saying import completed successfully. If there are ever any errors, such as there's an employee in the timekeeping system that's not actually hired anymore and it just wasn't removed from the system or whatever the reason may be, it'll give you a warning saying that that employee couldn't come over. And that's why we want to leave this option on here. But we did import successfully. And so now once you get that message, you can click return. And we're going to look at the one employee here that I added hours for, John Doe, and you'll see he does have the 40 hours and the 1 overtime hour, which we saw coming over from the SwipeClock preview. It's really as simple as that as far as importing from SwipeClock, and we do have the ability to capture more details if you need to see department or any other functions such as that. We're on a very simple setup here for now for the demo environment, so I just brought over the basic information. Once you complete an import and you want to, again, preview anything before submitting, you can always look at the hours here and make adjustments as necessary. You still do have full access to the timesheet. You can either review the report or, again, review the timesheet here, and then it's as simple as clicking submit. We're not going to do that just yet because I want to go over the manual time entry. One other thing I do want to touch on regarding the timekeeping integration we have, you'll notice an option here on the left-hand side called time clock with a drop-down. This is a single sign-on, that's what the SSO stands for, that allows you to access the timekeeping portal directly. So if I were to click on this, it just opens up a new tab, and you're signed in automatically to your timekeeping credentials so that you can manage everything there, similar to how you can be set up now. So it is a very simple process as far as uploading time from SwipeClock. Now I am going to move on to the manual time entry part. Again, we have covered this before, so if you've already seen this and you just wanted to see the swipe clock portion and you're going to go ahead and head out, I appreciate your time. For everybody else, let's go ahead and jump into the time entry. So let's look at regular and OT hours first. Let's look at Ann Davis, and we're going to add some hours. So if you're manually entering hours, let's go and enter 40 for regular. Let's say they had no overtime. We're going to leave that 0. But they did have PTO. We're going to enter 8. And you're going to see something here. Once I hit tab, you're going to see a little red exclamation mark pop up here. And there's a good reason for that. I entered 40 regular hours and 8 PTO hours for the week. So the system knows, hey, something's probably not right here. They either should have 32 regular hours or 8 PTO. So in this example, I was just going through the motions and I should have hit 32, for example, and update that there, and it'll get rid of the warning message letting you know that you're over the regular hours amount. The same would apply for holiday if I added that, because it's considered a regular code too. So if I added 8 holiday, again, it would pop up and I can either knock this down to 24 or put this at 0, but I'm going to leave it like this here. Now you'll see there is an other pay category here. Again, these are several codes that aren't in the columns here. Let's look at per diem. So I'm going to add per diem. It's not an hours-based code, so I'm going to add an amount here. And we'll say they get $50 of per diem. Now, if there are more other codes we want to add, but there's no more columns, what we can do is we can hit the plus symbol here. And we can, again, go to the other code here. And let's say they also had a reimbursement that needed to be distributed. You can select that code there and enter the amount here. So you can add multiple lines per employee if necessary for adding other pay options. There is also another reason for the ability to add multiple lines. If, for example, you wanted to break out the pay for different departments or something like that, you can click on the little arrows here to expand the information for the pay line. And you can assign different locations, projects, or departments to that line. So in this example, we're just doing reimbursement and we added a line because we needed another space for another pay code. But let's say if instead of it being reimbursement, we get rid of that there. Oops, excuse me. Got that to 0. Let's expand that again. And we're going to put this as regular hours. So we're going to put 8 regular hours here. We're going to drop this down to 16 to make sure we're not over the 40. Oops, excuse me. Hit the wrong key here. There we go. And now we're back to a normal amount of hours. We're not getting the warning. But these hours here on the top line, they're going to be associated with a certain department, which is office, and these hours can be allocated to a different department, location, and or project number. So it's a way that we can do job costing in the timesheet here for you. We also have the ability to put it on a different check number if ever desired. So if, for example, this was bonus that we're adding on this line as well, and we want to add that on a different check number because we want to put it onto a paper check and surprise the employee, you can toggle that here as well. So we have a lot of features in terms of expanding each pay line and adjusting the pay. Something I didn't mention already is you can expand all of them at once by clicking on the little arrow at the very top of the columns. This is a lot to view here, and I tend to like to do it one by one, but it is an option available for you if you so choose. Regarding salary employees, it is fairly simple, but we're going to take a look at that as well. You'll see these salary employees here already have their 40 hours allocated. If I were to try and add 8 hours of PTO to this salary employee here, and I hit tab, you'll see I'm getting a warning that I'm going over 40, and it's at 48 because it didn't reduce automatically. There is a reason for that, and that is because we have a special tool for salary employees. And that is accessed via this little button here next to the salary icon. You click on that and it allows you to split your salary hours and allocate to different codes as necessary. So by default, it's going to be the 40 going to regular salary. But if there is any PTO that needed to be allocated for this pay period or a holiday or anything of that nature, we can split the hours out here. At the top, it shows you how many hours you have remaining to split, as well as the amount. So we're going to add 8 hours here, go to the pay type, and we're adding it to PTO. You see it reduced automatically to 32, now being allocated to the default salary pay type. If we add 8 more to holiday, again, it reduces automatically. And now this is correct, and this is how we want to allocate the salary hours. All we have to do is hit split, and it enters that onto the timesheet there automatically for us. So it's very simple as far as the salary employees and allocating the hours as necessary. Typically, you're not going to have to touch them, but whenever you do, it's as simple as clicking this little button. Now that we've kind of entered all of our hourly and salary employees, I'm going to do a quick review of the timesheet and make sure everything looks good before I go through the submission process. Again, you can just look at the hours here if you like, but we do have reports available you can click on. I'm not going to click on them just yet because we are running out of time. So I'm going to go through the process and click submit here. I'm going to enter an example note though, just so you can see. And now that I've reviewed everything and I go to submit, you'll see here, if you are using our integrated PTO request system, it'll ask you if you want to import the time that was scheduled for this pay period or any previous time that was missed and not imported yet. You can select it via the checkboxes here and import and continue. I'm going to just select continue here. It's giving you a warning once you continue that you will no longer be able to make changes to the timesheet. I'm going to click OK there. And it gives you a message letting you know your payroll has been submitted for processing. And it automatically opens up a timesheet submission report that you can either review and print or save, or if you just want to look at it and then close it out, you're welcome to do that as well. Now in the payroll section here, we have it filtered to view in process payrolls right now. This is the one I just submitted for processing, you'll see here. But I'm going to go ahead and let you know what the next steps would be. And that is, this is now going to your payroll specialist. They're going to review it. They're going to make sure everything looks right. They'll reach out if they have any questions. Then they're going to tax calc it and go through the process of getting that back to you for final approval. Once it does go back to you for final approval, you will receive an email, and it looks like this. Let me bring this over here. And it's just a notification saying that the payroll specialist has sent this back to you for final approval. It tells you all of the information you need to know, and it does have a link here that allows you to access the portal and go in and do that final approval. Once you're in here for final approval, this is what it will look like. I had one ready for us so that we can review what it looks like. And you'll see it says step awaiting client review. So you can click the review button, and that just opens up the timesheet in the view we just had it in. But you'll notice in the report section here, there are a lot more reports that you can review before giving the final approval, including invoice and several others. Once you review all of that and everything looks good, or if it's not ready to approve and you want to reject it, you would click the red thumbs up icon here, approve, and it will give you two options. Again, you can approve payroll, and it's just giving you a warning to make sure that you've reviewed all reports associated with this payroll before you submit it for final processing. And then there is the reject option. So if you see anything wrong with the payroll and you need to reject it, you would select that. And you can enter the reason for the rejection here. So let's say you forgot something and there were 8 hours missed that needed to be added to an employee. You could type that information here, whatever code it needs to go to, and then reject it, and it would go back to your payroll specialist. Once they reviewed that and made the change as necessary, it would get sent back to you for final approval once more. So it would pop back up in this state here. You'd click on the approval. Again, after you review everything and everything looks right, and once you're ready to approve, you toggle this button and you select approve here, and it gives you the final notice that your payroll was approved. You can click OK there. And then once you want to view any completed payrolls, you can toggle to complete here and view them all here. You have all of your reports available for previous payrolls, and they are also available under the report section over here on the left. If you expand that and go to prior payroll reports, these are all your prior payrolls. You can click on them, select what you want to view, and then hit the view button, and that information does pop up there for you. One thing I forgot to mention is if you're trying to view reports or anything like that and they're not popping up, it may be because you have pop-up blocker on, so you would likely want to disable pop-up blocker for this website if that is the case. That was an overview, again, of our SwipeClock import process and time entry settings. I would like to go ahead and start wrapping up, but before I do, I would like to remind you that if you would like to see any of our previous recordings, or if you have any questions or inquiries, please reach out to our client relations team at clientrelations@uniquehr.com. And from everyone at Unique, thank you, and y'all have a wonderful day.